The battlefield was quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet. The heavy kind. The kind that comes only after everything has already burned. Broken tanks lay half buried in black soil. Smoke drifted slowly through the air, rising from twisted metal. And shattered weapons. Fires still burned in the distance, but no one was fighting anymore. The war was over. Alien command ships hovered above the ruined planet, their lights steady and calm. Victory signals flashed across their fleets. Human forces were gone. No ships, no signals. No resistance. The alien commanders gathered in their command chamber, relaxed for the first time in months. "It is finished," one commander said. "Humanity is defeated," another nodded. "They fought longer than expected," he said. But in the end, they were still only human. Laughter echoed softly through the chamber. Scanners continued to sweep the battlefield. Not out of concern, but habit. Then one officer froze. "Commander," he said slowly, "there is something." The room grew quiet. "What?" the commander asked. "One life signal," the officer replied. "Human." The commander frowned. "Impossible," he said. "All human units were eliminated hours ago." The officer checked again. "It is weak," he said. "Barely alive. But it is there." A hologram appeared in the center of the room, a single blinking, dotted one human. Surrounded by alien patrol units, the commander studied it for a moment, then waved his hand. "So one survived," he said. "It changes nothing." Another commander leaned forward. "Let him surrender," he said. "Or let him die alone. Either way, the war is finished." The order was given, no immediate execution. No rush. They wanted to watch. On the ground, the human moved slowly through the wreckage. His armor was cracked and burned. One shoulder plate was missing entirely. Blood stained the inside of his helmet. But his eyes were still sharp. He dragged himself behind a broken wall and leaned there, breathing hard. Every breath hurt, every movement burned. He reached for his rifle. The weapon was damaged, scorched, barely functioning. He checked the ammo counter. It blinked once. One bullet. The human stared at it for a long moment. He did not swear. He did not panic. He simply closed his eyes and exhaled. Around him, the battlefield was silent. Alien patrols moved carefully, but without urgency. They knew they had already won. High above, alien observers watched him on surveillance feeds. "That's the last one?" an officer asked. "Yes," another replied. "He won't last long." "Should we end it?" someone asked. The commander shook his head. "No," he said. "Let him realize it is over." On the ground, the human pushed himself to his feet. His leg almost gave out, but he steadied himself against the wall. He looked around, bodies, human and alien alike. Ruins of machines he once fought beside. Memories pressed in. He forced them away. This was not the time. He checked his rifle again. One bullet. The human opened the chamber and removed the round. Holding it carefully between his fingers, it was scratched, dirty, still usable. He wiped it clean on his sleeve, then he loaded it. Back into the rifle clit, the sound echoed louder than it should have. High above, one alien officer noticed he loaded his weapon, he said. The commander raised an eyebrow. "With one round?" he asked. "Yes." A few officers chuckled. "What does he think he can do with that?" One said. The commander smiled. "Nothing," he replied. "That's why this is interesting." On the battlefield, the human began moving again. Slowly, carefully, not toward cover, not toward escape. He was heading deeper into the ruins. That caught the observer's attention. "Why is he going that way?" one officer asked. "That sector is already cleared," another said. "There's nothing left." The human stepped over a broken alien drone and paused. He knelt beside a destroyed power unit. Alien technology, cracked open and leaking energy. His visor flickered as his suit analyzed it. A weak smile appeared on his face. "So that's still alive?" he murmured. The observers zoomed in. "What is he doing?" the commander asked. "He's inspecting debris," an officer replied. "But it's irrelevant." The commander leaned back. "He's stalling," he said. "Even humans don't want to die quietly." On the ground, the human connected his damaged rifle to the exposed power unit. Sparks flew. Warning alerts flashed inside his helmet. He ignored them. He adjusted something manually, carefully, slowly. His hands shook, but his movements were precise. High above, one alien officer frowned. "Commander," he said. "That device. It was part of our command relay." The commander's smile faded slightly. "So," he asked. "So, if damaged further?" The officer hesitated. The commander waved him off. "One human," he said. "One bullet." The officer fell silent. On the battlefield, the human stepped back. He looked up at the sky, where alien ships floated calmly. He raised his rifle. One bullet, one chance. The war was finished. Everyone believed that, except him. The human did not hurry. That alone confused the alien observers. If surrender was his goal, moving slowly made sense. If escape was his goal, it made no sense at all. Yet he walked with purpose, limping through the ruins, as if he knew exactly where he was going. Alien patrol units tracked him from a distance. They did not close in. They did not fire. There was no need. "He's bleeding badly," one officer reported. "His suit integrity is failing." The commander nodded. "He won't last long," he said. "Let him walk." On the ground, the human felt every step. His leg was fractured. His ribs ached with each breath. Warning lights filled the edges of his vision. But he ignored them. Pain was familiar. He had learned long ago that pain did not mean stop. It meant, be careful. He moved past the remains of a human transport ship. Its hull split open like a wound. Burn marks covered the metal. He paused there for a moment. Not to rest, to remember. This was where his unit had made its last stand. He could still see it. Clearly, the screams, the explosions. The moment the sky turned white, his jaw tightened. He forced himself forward. The battlefield stretched endlessly, broken by craters and wreckage. Alien machines lay scattered, many destroyed by human resistance before the final collapse. The aliens had won, but not easily. Above him, alien drones adjusted their sensors, zooming in on the human's movements. "He's scanning debris," an officer said. "Collecting information." The commander leaned forward slightly. "From what?" he asked. "He has nothing left." On the ground, the human reached another destroyed structure. Half buried beneath it was an alien relay tower, damaged, but not dead. The human's visor flickered as his suit recognized the technology. A faint energy pulse still ran through it. He crouched beside the tower, breathing heavily. "This war wasn't clean," he whispered. He removed a tool from his belt, one he had kept since the early days of the invasion. It was old, scratched. and simple, human-made. He pried open part of the alien relay and studied the inside, high above. One alien analyst frowned. "That relay was part of our battlefield coordination network," he said. "It links ground units to command ships." The commander shrugged. "It's damaged," he replied, "and he has one bullet." The analyst said nothing. On the ground, the human adjusted a cable, then another. Sparks jumped across his glove. He hissed in pain but continued. His rifle lay beside him, one bullet still loaded. He did not touch it yet. He finished his adjustments and stepped back. The relay hummed faintly. Not enough to alert the entire fleet, but enough to matter. The human leaned against the wreckage. Catching his breath, his thoughts drifted, uninvited. He remembered training. When everything fails, the instructor had said, "Don't look for a way out, look for a way through." He opened a private channel on his suit. No signal reached anyone. Still, he spoke. "Guess it's just me," he said quietly. The alien patrols finally began moving closer. Not with urgency, with curiosity. They surrounded him at a distance, weapons lowered but ready. The human noticed. He smiled faintly. That smile unsettled the observers. "Why is he smiling?" one officer asked. The commander watched silently. The human pushed himself upright and picked up his rifle. He checked the chamber again. One bullet. He rolled his shoulders. Ignoring the pain, he looked at the alien soldiers, now visible through the AO smoke. They did not fire. They did not rush. They believed the war was finished. The human turned away from them and looked instead at the relay tower. Then he looked up at the sky. Alien command. Ships floated calmly above. Confident and still. His visor marked one of them. Command vessel, primary node. That'll do. He murmured. High above. The alien commander noticed the targeting alert. Why is he aiming upward? An officer asked. With a rifle? Another said confused. The commander frowned. That weapon cannot reach orbit, he said. On the ground, the human adjusted his rifle's settings manually. He disabled safety limits, overrode stabilizers, pushed the weapon beyond its intended use. Warning alerts screamed inside his helmet. He ignored them all. He took a deep breath. Slowed. Controlled. The alien patrols raised their weapons now. Finally sensing danger. Fire on him, one officer urged. The commander hesitated. Wait. He said. The human squeezed the trigger halfway. Paused. Not yet. He waited for the right moment. Above the relay tower's energy pulse, synced briefly with the command network, just for a fraction of a second. Enough. The human finished pulling the trigger. The rifle roared. The final bullet left the chamber. The observers leaned forward. That won't do anything, someone said. The bullet struck the relay tower, not the ship. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the tower overloaded. Energy surged through damaged systems, racing upward along command links. The human collapsed to one knee, exhausted. Above, warning alarms exploded across alien command decks. What just happened? The commander demanded. An officer stared at his console in horror. Command, network destabilizing, he said. Feedback surge detected. The commander's eyes widened. On the battlefield, the human looked up, one last time. The war was finished. That's what they thought. He smiled again. The alien command chamber erupted into noise. Warning lights flashed across every surface. Data streams broke into chaos. Officers shouted reports over one another. Signal instability spreading. Command links failing. Fleet coordination disrupted. The commander slammed his hand down. "Explain," he demanded. An analyst's hand shook as he read the data. "The ground relay was damaged," he said. But it was still connected to the command web. The commander's eyes narrowed, and the human. "He overloaded it," the analyst replied. With one kinetic impact. Silence followed. "That shouldn't be possible," the commander said. "No," the analyst answered quietly. "But he didn't use it the way we would." On the battlefield below, the human lay against the broken relay, breathing hard. His vision blurred at the edge. Pain flooded his body now that the adrenaline was fading. He did not try to stand. He had already done what he came to do. Alien patrol units surrounded him completely now. Weapons were raised. Targeting systems locked. But none of them fired. Not yet. They were watching. The human lifted his head slowly and looked at them. He was not afraid that confused them. Above, the alien fleet struggled to regain control. Ships drifted slightly out of formation. Automated defense systems flickered. All fleets switched to manual command. An officer shouted. "That will take time," another replied. Time was something the aliens suddenly did not have. The commander leaned forward. "Why would one human do this?" he asked aloud. The war was over. No one answered at first. Then a junior analyst spoke hesitantly, "Because humans don't see war the way we do." The commander turned. "Explain." The analyst swallowed. "Other species fight to survive," he said. "Humans fight to finish." The room fell quiet. On the battlefield, the human closed his eyes for a moment. Memories surfaced again. Not of the beginning of the war, but the middle. The long nights. The retreat after retreat. The promise they all made. "If we can't win," his commander had said, "we make sure they never forget the cost." That promise burned brighter than pain. The human opened his eyes. One of the alien soldiers stepped forward. "You are defeated," it said through a translator. "Surrender." The human laughed weakly. "That already happened," he replied. "You're just late." The alien hesitated. "What did you do?" it demanded. The human looked up at the sky again. "I reminded you," he said. "Why humans don't quit." Above, an alien ship lurched suddenly as its systems reset incorrectly. Another lost targeting alignment. Defensive grids blinked offline and back on again. Panic spread. "This is spreading beyond the battlefield," an officer reported. "The feedback surge is echoing through our command structure." The commander clenched his jaw. "One human," he said. "One bullet." The analyst shook his head. "That's not what mattered," he said. The commander looked at him sharply. "Then what did?" The analyst answered slowly. "He didn't fire to kill," he said. "He fired to change the situation." The commander stared. "Humans don't quit because quitting assumes there's nothing left to change." The analyst continued. "They always look for one more option." On the battlefield, the human's strength finally failed. He slumped fully. Against the wreckage, alien soldiers moved closer now. One aimed carefully at the human's head. Still, no shot was fired. Above them, a massive alien command ship struggled to stabilize. Its systems had not failed completely, but they were no longer perfect. That was enough. Human. Resistance groups thought destroyed picked up the disturbance. Old. Defense platforms activated. Automated systems. Misidentified targets. Chaos spread outward. The commander watched helplessly. This shouldn't be happening, he said. The analyst met his gaze. You assumed the war ended when humans lost the ability to fight, he said. But humans don't measure war that way. The commander's voice was low. Then, how do they measure it? The analyst answered. By whether they still have a choice. On the battlefield, the alien soldier finally pulled the trigger. The human did not move. The war took its last casualty, but it did not take its last consequence. High above, alien command systems began failing in sequence. Fleets pulled back to avoid further damage. Victory signals vanished. The war declaration was quietly removed, replaced with something else. Uanari Soviditha. Commander sank into his seat. We won the battlefield, he said. But we lost control. The analyst nodded. That human didn't. Try to win, he said. He refused to accept the ending you gave him. The commander looked back at the battlefield feed. Now empty of life, one body, one rifle, no bullets left, yet the damage continued. Slow spreading, permanent record. This, the commander said. What should we call it? An officer asked. The commander thought for a long moment. The reason humans don't quit, he said. The alien commanders believed they understood war. They believed victory was about numbers, about territory, about who was still standing when the fighting stopped. That belief was their greatest mistake. Inside the command chamber, silence replaced panic. The flashing alarms slowed, but the damage remained. Systems that once worked perfectly now hesitated. Data arrived late. Orders overlapped. Control was no longer absolute. The commander stared at the tactical display. We eliminated human forces, he said. Their fleets are gone, their cities destroyed. An analyst nodded. Yes, he replied. But they didn't stop us. The commander turned sharply. What does that mean? The analyst hesitated, then spoke carefully. Humans don't fight to end wars, he said. They fight to shape what comes after. That thought unsettled the room. On the battlefield, recovery drones moved across the ruins. They catalogued wreckage. They collected data. They avoided the human body lying beside the shattered relay. No one ordered them to move it. Something about it felt wrong. Above. The alien fleet tried to reorganize. Command ships repositioned, but coordination lagged. Messages arrived out of order, small problems. But war was lost through small problems. The commander rubbed his face. How could one human do this? He asked. He had no army. No, the analyst replied. He had intent. The commander scoffed. Intent does not destroy fleets. The analyst met his eyes. It does when paired with sacrifice, he said. The alien officers reviewed the human's actions again. Every movement, every delay, every choice, slow walking, ignoring escape, choosing broken technology. He wasn't improvising, one officer said. He was committing. The commander frowned. To what? He asked. To an outcome, the officer replied. On a separate screen. Analysts pulled human historical data. Wars, conflicts, resistance movements. The patterns were clear. Humans often lost battles, but they rarely accepted endings written by others. They have a concept, the analyst said. Last stand. The commander leaned forward. Explain. When defeat is certain, the analyst said, humans choose a moment that matters more than survival. The commander stared. That is irrational, he said. Yes, the analyst replied. And extremely dangerous. The fleet received new reports. Several distant sectors reported instability. Old human defense codes thought obsolete had activated. Automated systems across multiple regions responded unpredictably to the earlier feedback. Surge. It's spreading, an officer said. Not fast, but permanently. The commander clenched his fists. We won, he said again. We destroyed their capacity to fight. The analyst shook his head. You destroyed their capacity to win, he said. Not their capacity to resist. That difference settled heavily in the room. On the battlefield, an alien officer finally ordered the human's body removed. As drones approached, one of them hesitated. Commander, the drone operator said. The human's weapon? It's empty. The commander nodded. Double quotes, yes? The operator paused. He fired, knowing he would die. Yes, the commander said again. That is not how other species behave. The operator whispered. No, the commander agreed. It is not. The misunderstanding became clear. Aliens believed wars ended when enemies lost power. Humans believed wars ended when enemies lost certainty. The human did not try to stop the alien victory. He poised at reports. Arrived from allied species. Confusion? Retreats? Questions? If humans were defeated, one message read, "Why are your systems failing?" The commander had no answer. The analyst spoke again. They thought the war was finished, he said. But humans never stop at the battlefield. The commander looked back at the frozen image of the human firing his last round. That bullet wasn't meant to kill. He said slowly. No, the analyst replied. It was meant to remind of what? The analyst answered softly. That humans don't fight fair. They fight meaningful. The fleet finally issued a new order. Not advance. Not occupation. Withdrawal. Not because of defeat, because of uncertainty. The commander knew something had changed forever. They would never again see humans as a species that could be measured by fleets destroyed or worlds taken. They would be measured by something worse, what they were willing to lose. The misunderstanding was complete. The war was not finished when humans ran out of soldiers. It was finished when the aliens realized they never truly understood who they were fighting. The bullet was already gone, but its effect was still spreading. Inside the alien command chamber, silence had turned heavy. Not calm, not relief. The kind of silence that follows a realization too late to stop. The commander stared at the system. Map. Red markers pulsed across it. Not explosions. Not destruction. Instability. Double quotes. Trace the cascade. The commander ordered. Analysts worked quickly, pulling data from dozens of systems. Their faces grew darker with every update. The relay, the human overloaded, one analyst said. It wasn't isolated. The commander closed his eyes. Of course it wasn't. That relay fed into fallback command channels, the analyst continued. Channels we assumed would never be used. Another analyst joined in. It created feedback loops, she said. Small ones, but they touched everything. The commander looked up sharply. Define everything. The analyst swallowed. Fleet coordination, she said. Logistics. automated defense systems, treaty enforcement grids. The room went still. That network controls half our occupied space, the commander said. Yes, the analyst replied. And it was never meant to be disrupted. The final bullet had not destroyed a fleet. It had damaged trust in the system. Across occupied worlds, alien forces experienced small failures. Supply drops arrived late. Orders contradicted one another. Defense platforms misfired and shut down unexpectedly. Nothing catastrophic. Just enough. Enough to create hesitation. Enough to make commanders question orders. Enough to remind them they were not in control. The commander leaned back slowly. One human, he said. One bullet. On the battlefield below, the human's body lay still. Recovery drones hovered nearby, unsure what to do next. One drone scanned the rifle.mo. Oh. The weapon was useless now. But it had already done its job. The analysts reviewed the firing data again and again. Velocity, impact, angle. Energy transfer, nothing. About it was extraordinary. What mattered, the analyst said quietly, was where he chose to shoot. The commander nodded. Double quotes, he chose the nerve, he said. Not the muscle. Reports continued to arrive. A distant fleet disengaged unexpectedly. An allied species requested clarification on war status. Trade routes closed temporarily due to uncertainty. Victory began to feel fragile. The commander stood and addressed the chamber. Record this moment, he said. Not as a defeat, as a lesson. The analysts listened. We believed the war ended when the last human force collapsed, he continued. We were wrong. He turned toward the display showing the battlefield. The war ended when that human decided how it would be remembered. The analysts exchanged glances. The commander spoke again. Humans do not seek to survive battles, he said. They seek to define outcomes. The final bullet did not destroy the alien command ship, but had forced it to withdraw not physically, mentally. Commanders across the fleet hesitated before issuing orders. They checked systems twice, then 3 times. Confidence cracked. That crack spread elsewhere. Human resistance cells long silent noticed the change. They didn't attack immediately. They waited. That was the most human part of all. The alien commander received a final report from battlefield recovery. The human's identity? He asked. The officer shook his head. No record found, he said. He was not a commander, not a strategist, just a soldier? The commander asked. Yes. The commander looked down. Then remember this, he said. If a single soldier can do this. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. The bullet's echo reached the highest levels of the Alien Council. Emergency meetings were called. Quiet ones. No announcements. The war status was reviewed. No official surrender. No victory. Declaration. The words were carefully chosen. Hostilities. SUSP and Dither. Commander knew what that meant. The final bullet had rewritten the ending. On the battlefield, the recovery drones finally lifted the human's body. As they did, one drone detected something odd, a small symbol carved into the rifle's grip. Human script. The analyst translated it. Finish the fight. The commander closed his eyes. The bullet had not killed a target, it had delivered a message, and the galaxy had received it. The war was finished, but not the way anyone expected. The galaxy took time to understand what had happened. At first, the alien leadership tried to control the story. Reports were softened, Words were chosen carefully. The war was not called a loss. It was not called a victory either. It was called inconclusive. But the data did not lie. Across dozens of systems, alien commanders noticed the same thing. Not chaos. Not destruction. Uncertainty. Orders were followed more slowly. Fleets hesitated before advancing. Automated systems were checked again and again. Trust was gone. All because of one human. One bullet. The Alien Council gathered in silence. No banners, no celebration, no music. Only data projections filled the room. Battle statistics. Psychological impact reports. Long-term instability models. The results were uncomfortable. The humans are not a dominant species, one council member said. They lack numbers, technology, resources. Another nodded. Yet they forced us to retreat. A third counselor leaned forward. Not by winning, she said. By refusing to end the war on our terms. That truth settled heavily. The human soldier was studied in detail. His movements, his decisions, his final action. He was not special. That frightened them the most. He was not a leader, an analyst reported. Not highly ranked. Not enhanced. Then why him? A counselor asked. The analyst answered honestly. Because any human might have done the same. Silence followed. The council ordered a full review of human history. Disasters, wars, collapses, every record showed the same pattern. Humans adapted. Humans endured. Humans continued. They lost often, but they never stopped choosing how they lost. The final report was written. Slowly and carefully, not as a warning, as advice. Humans do not need to win to be dangerous. The human soldier was buried quietly by alien recovery teams. No ceremony. But his rifle was sealed and archived, labeled Last Round, Evie and Tiak, crossed the galaxy. Military academies updated their teachings. Never assume a war is over because the enemy is outnumbered. Never assume surrender because weapons are gone. Never assume defeat means acceptance. Especially with humans. Human worlds slowly began rebuilding. They did not celebrate. They did not boast. They mourned. Then they moved forward. Alien diplomats approached cautiously. Talks began. Ceasefires were respected. No one wanted to test what humans might do next. In quiet meetings, alien commanders shared one thought openly for the first time. We misunderstood them. Humans were not brave because they feared death, less they were. Brave because they feared unfinished things more. The galaxy learned something important that day. Humans do not fight for glory. They do not fight for conquest. They fight for meaning. They fight so that even in lost shell, something changes. Years later, young alien officers would study the war and ask the same question. How did one soldier matter so much? Their instructors would answer the same way, because humans do not measure power by strength, they would say. They measure it by impact. The war was finished. But its lesson lived on. Somewhere on Earth, a memorial was built. No name engraved. No rank listed, only a single line. One round was enough. The galaxy never forgot. And whenever a conflict ended too quietly, whenever a human was believed defeated, someone always asked the same question. Are we sure they're done? Because the galaxy learned the truth too late. As long as a human still has one choice left, the war is never truly over.